Hello everyone, greetings to all of you. Today's lecture is about the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. It's a simple narrative poem with 5 stanzas. This poem compares the life of a tiger in a zoo with the life of a tiger in a jungle. Let's start the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. Let me quickly give meanings for some of the words used here. Stalks, walking stiffly with anger. Vivid, brightly colored. Stripes, lines drawn. Here, in this context, we can assume the lines that we could see on the body of the tiger. Pads, foot. Here, the gentle and soft paw of the tiger. And the next word is rage, which means an uncontrollable anger. The poet begins the stanza with a pronoun he. The tiger is personified, and so he starts the stanza with the pronoun he. The poet says that the tiger walks very stiffly with an expression of anger in his face, with brightly colored stripes seen all over his body. He walks only the few steps, as only a small space is provided inside the cage. He walks on his foot, which looks like it is made of velvet soft. So the poet compares the foot of the tiger with a pad made of velvet. And in the last line, he says that in his quiet rage, that is, he walks very stiffly, that is, only a few steps inside the cage, on the soft paws, the velvet paws, with full of rage, that is, with an uncontrollable anger deep inside. The anger may be due to the reason that he is arrested inside the small cage. Instead of roaming around the jungle, now his life is restricted within a small space. So with a deep frustration and uncontrollable anger, he walks those few steps, ignoring the viewers, ignoring the audience, whoever visits the zoo. He walks carelessly with a deep frustration inside. So, points to remember for this first stanza. Quickly, I recall a few of the points mentioned here. The caged tiger lives in a short space provided. The tiger has vivid stripes all over the body. The paw, that is, the foot of the tiger, is soft and gentle. It has uncontrollable anger inside. Next, the rhyme scheme of the stanza. So to get the rhyme scheme of any stanza, we should observe the last words of each line. So here the last words used are stripes, cage, quiet, rage. The sound of the word stripes doesn't rhyme with the others. Anyway, we shall take the sound of the first word as A always. The next word is cage and it doesn't rhyme similar with the first sound A. So here we shall take it as sound B. And the next word is quiet. This word also doesn't rhyme with any other words. So let us take it as sound C. And finally the last word, rage, and it rhymes similar with the word cage, and hence we shall take the same sound B here also. So the rhyme scheme for this stanza is A, B, C, B. Here we start stanza 2. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. I want to give meanings for some of the words used here. One is lurking, which means remain hidden, and the second one is plump, which means a full rounded shape. Here we can assume the meaning soft and fleshy. So the first line, he should be lurking in shadow. The tiger is supposed to remain hidden in the shadow of a tree or a bush. So the nature of the tiger itself is to hunt other animals. When it is ready to hunt some other animal, generally it remains hidden in the shadow of a tree or a bush. The second line, sliding through long grass. So when it is hiding somewhere, it moves forward calmly through the long grown grass, because the slow movement through the grass should not be noticed by the other. If it is noticed, the prey will escape from the spot. So here the slow and gentle movement is described using the word sliding through. And then the third line, near the water hole. Generally the animals hunt its prey near a water hole because the other animals come to the spot to drink water. At that time, it would be really easy for the animals to hunt its prey. The last line of this stanza, where plump deer pass. So the tiger, when it is hungry, it waits for a full round-bodied deer, not the bony or skinny ones. When the deer is fleshy, the tiger has its good appetite. So here in this stanza, the poet says that the tiger, if it is living in its jungle, it hides somewhere near the bushes, near the water hole, and it is getting ready for hunting its prey. And generally its expectation is a plump deer. But instead of having such a life, now the tiger, which is in a zoo, just imagine what kind of frustration it may have. Okay, so points to remember for the stanza 2. The tiger hides himself in a shadow. It moves through the grass. It waits near the water holes. When a plump deer comes, the tiger hunts it. Next, the rhyme scheme. So like the first stanza, the rhyme scheme for this stanza is also A, B, C, B. Stanza 3. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Quickly, the meanings first. Snarling, aggressive growl of an animal. Next, the word fangs, which means a large, sharp tooth. Claws, curved, pointed, horny nail. Baring, uncovering. Next, terrorizing, creating fear. So the first line and its explanation here. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. The tiger sometimes comes to the edges of his jungle, closer to the villages nearby. He roams around the houses of such villages located at the edges of a jungle. While doing so, he growls aggressively around those houses. Third line, baring his white fangs, his claws. He roams around the houses with his white fangs, that is, the sharp tooth, his sharp and deadly claws uncovered. So here the word baring, which means barefoot we say, uncovered foot, right? So the same way here it is white fangs and its claws are baring, which is not covered. So it is the ing form of the base verb bare, B-A-R-E. The last line, terrorizing the village. This aggressive growling, the sharp claws and the sharp tooth ultimately fill the minds of the people living in that region with the terror. So people are completely threatened by the way of its roaming around. So here the third stanza is getting over. Points to remember. The tiger enters the nearby village sometimes. There it growls aggressively around those houses, and its teeth, claws are not covered. The tiger terrorizes the people. And finally, the rhyme scheme of this stanza. The rhyme scheme for this stanza is AB, CB. Next, a fourth stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So we shall go on with the first line. But he is locked in a concrete cell. So here the poet says that instead of hunting in a jungle or roaming around a nearby village, what happened to this tiger here? It is being arrested, it is being separated in this cage in a zoo. So here he is locked in a concrete cell. The cell is made of heavy solids. The tiger is unable to break those cage and it is unable to come out of it. So he is locked in a concrete cell, a solid cell, which cannot be broken. His strength behind bars, completely the tremendous strength of this deadly animal is behind bars now. That is the bars of the cage. Stalking the length of his cage. As I told you, stalking is walking with stiffness. So here, with the same stiffness, the tiger walks all around the length of the cage, ignoring the visitors. So in a zoo, there were so many visitors coming to the place, coming near the cage to see the tiger. But the animal, tiger, it is ignoring all the visitors. It is least interested in looking at them. Instead, it thinks about his life in a jungle. So here the poet wants to say that instead of ruling the entire forest region or a jungle. Here, the great strength of this animal is completely locked up in a concrete cell, and even the great strength couldn't help him out now. The rhyme scheme for this stanza is also ABCB. And now the last stanza of this poem. Let's go on with its lines. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So the tiger inside this cage in a zoo. So during the night hours, he hears the last voice at night. So when all the visitors of the zoo were sent out, finally there came a patrolling sound of the vehicles of the police. So when they come for rounds, the siren sound comes there. That was the last voice that the tiger hears. And then he stares with his brilliant eyes